Wow. 7 days and you closed
Yeah,
for a $25,000 assignment with zero marketing cost from calling an agent who happened to know a seller that wanted to sell a distressed property.
that's correct.
I mean, isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever heard of?
Beautiful.
Welcome, Brian. It's great to have you on here, and it's great to talk to you about your start in real estate and specifically a deal that you recently did. That was a real home run deal, right? A wholesale deal that made 25,000. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
It was an agent who brought you the deal off market, which is the dream situation to have happen. There's so many benefits to on market, zero marketing cost. You can create relationships that bring repeat business. So,
Right.
Brian, before we get into your deal, though, tell us a little bit about you. When did you get started, and what was it like for you, that journey from finding out about wholesale real estate to the learning process to then taking action and then getting that first deal? What did that process look like for you?
Well, for me, I probably started watching YouTube videos and stuff for about 2.5 years. Eventually, I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot for real. And I started watching your YouTube videos around December. I just said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And here we are today.
And from when you said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit, what did commitment look like for you? Everyone has a different idea around what it means to commit. What did that look like? Were you juggling, that with a job and other things? And how many hours do you think you had to commit a day until you got that first deal?
I've kind of been in the entrepreneur space for a while. I actually was an independent contractor for life insurance, and I was a door knocker. And I just get out the car, knock on the door. Hey, my name's Brian. You got any life insurance? And if they let me in, I pretty much get the sale. Wholesaling houses, you're talking to a bunch of strangers. I said it can't be that different.
When you say commitment, you're like, okay, commitment means no plan B, all in. I'm going to give this everything I've got. I'm going to do the work that it takes. Lucky. So, Brian, let's talk about this deal you did. This was a on-market deal, ended up being a $25,000 net profit wholesale deal. And what I love about this is it was an agent outreach. Now, guys, there's two ways to look at the agent model. I teach both of these. One is called what I call the sniper method. And this is where you're going to contact agents that have a distressed listing for sale right now. And the idea there is, okay, hey, you got this property. Looks like it might be a deal. I'm going to call, I'm going to make a connection, and I'm going to make an offer on your listing. We call that the sniper method. Now, maybe we get the deal, maybe we don't. The goal would be create a connection, and maybe they've got something else, and maybe you can do a deal, that one or another one in the future. That's sort of the idea there. Then there's the shotgun method, which is outreach, cold outreach, where you're just contacting any agents in your market and you're basically saying, hey, I'm an investor. If you come across a distressed property, I'm your guy or I'm your girl. Call me when you get a deal. I'll let you represent me. But they don't have something actively that you're calling about or making an offer on. Both of them are amazing. Both of them are awesome. The end game, though, the goal with both those strategies, whether it's the sniper or the shotgun method, the goal there is that they're going to bring you something that's off market. That's the end game. If they can call you back up and say, hey, I got this seller that I'm meeting. They're looking for a cash buyer. They would prefer to sell this without going on market. If we can work out a deal, we'll get a deal done off market. We call it a pocket listing. And so that's amazing because now you get the deal. And when you take it to dispo, nobody's seen it yet. It's a brand new property to the market. And those are a premium, right? Whenever you can bring buyers a property that no one's seen yet, it tends to get a premium. People like that. It's not that we can't wholesale a listed property. It just means we have a lot of hurdles to overcome because your buyers see that it was listed and they might have some issues with that. So we do that all the time. But again, the best situation would be an agent brings you something off market that you can contract and then wholesale. So that's what Brian's deal is. So Brian, talk to us about this deal. How did you make this connection with the agent and what led them to bringing you this hot lead?
I used your strategy. I called. I was just making offers, and my initial goal was to make at least 5 offers a day with agents. So I called this agent. He had a listing. I made an offer on that listing. Of course, he shot that offer down. I didn't just kill the conversation there. I asked him, did he have anything, in the pipeline coming up, or did he have any pocket listings? He said, you know what? There's a lady that was talking to me. She wants to sell. It's in bad shape. And so this was a Thursday. He was like, I'll get in contact with you tomorrow. I'll see if she actually wants to sell or not. So he called me the next day. Said, what are you doing right now? Can you come and check this property out? I'll see you over there. Went, looked at the property. The lady wanted $75,000 for the property. It's in a great area of town. I mean, like walking distance to downtown. But I looked at it. I ended up offering 35. He said, okay, I'll tell her 35. Man, he went and told her. She said she'll accept it, and he sent over a contract, and that was that, man.
So you got it for 35. Their initial ask was 75. Do you know how the agent got compensated? Did that seller pay the agent
The seller
for?
paid the agent.
Okay, so it didn't cost you anything. You didn't have to add a fee onto your price or anything like that.
Nothing like that. The
Okay.
seller paid the agent.
So think about this, guys. The agent went to the seller and said, hey, I've got an investor. If we can work out a deal, let's get this done. So the agent now gets a commission, doesn't have to put this property on market, doesn't have to deal with buyer's agents and showings and inspections and all these things. He just got his deal done. Probably wouldn't even have listed it because they hate that type of listing. Those are terrible. Like,
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to list it.
yeah. Yeah. So had you not made that connection, none of that would have happened. It never would have went down. And that's how powerful this is. Like, guys, imagine if you're doing like Brian, you're making 5 offers a day. That's the goal. I preach that every day, 5 offers a day, verbal or written, doesn't matter. 5 new offers a day, and you're going to get something happen, right? And there it is. Something happens. So you get it for 35. Now, what was your dispo process like? How'd you find your buyer?
Man, the numbers were so good on it. I put it in a Facebook group, and a lot of people reached out about it. I scheduled a time where I could have 4 to 5 buyers coming out at the same time. And
Nice.
it kind of created a frenzy. Probably had the property one day before I actually got a buyer.
Mm.
And the buyer, he was so serious that the very next day he took a cashier's check for the full price of the property to the attorney.
And that's what you asked for at 60.
That's what I asked for.
Okay, so
Yep.
it didn't even beat you up. In fact, he wanted it so badly that he was like, I'll go down to the closing attorney because South Carolina is an attorney state. I'll go down to the closing attorney. I'll deposit my earnest money and like, let's get this done. Like, that's how bad he wanted it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He didn't just put earnest money. He bought a check for the full price of the property
He put the whole 60,000 down.
right off the gate.
Wow.
And
I
just
don't
let it
think I've
sit.
ever heard of that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So he bought the 60K up there, and he called his attorney and was like, man, put a rush on this thing. So it's like
Yeah.
7 days and it's over.
Wow. 7 days and you closed
Yeah.
for a $25,000 assignment with 0 marketing cost from calling an agent who happened to know a seller that wanted to sell a distressed property.
That's correct.
I mean, isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever heard of?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Like it doesn't, there's nothing. I mean, tell me something cooler than that. I don't know if there's anything I can think of that's cooler than that.
Yeah, man.
That's really amazing. Now, you do know that you're going to run into a bunch more challenges. Like that's not normal how that one went down, right? But we'll take them when they come. That's for sure. So guys, that's pretty exciting. So Brian, you're a flipping genius. Guys, leave a comment, say, Brian, you're a flipping genius. Congrats on your killer deal. And really more than anything, just way to take action and way to do the thing. You learned a cool thing, you put it in place, you put it to practice, and you got a result. And that's what's really cool. What would you say, Brian, would be your biggest takeaway or advice that you could share with somebody listening to this right now that's maybe early in their journey, working on their first deal? Maybe they're unsure. Maybe they don't know if this is going to work. What would be some advice you'd give?
The first thing I would say, man, the production will catch up with your activity. If you are active, you will produce. That's number one. If you're active, you'll produce. Number two, just make sure you get your numbers right. So if it's really a deal, it's not going to be hard to sell it. Yeah. In my mind, I look at it as if I'm giving away money.
Yeah, go deep. I mean, you went deep. They wanted 75 and you went deep. You weren't afraid to anchor low. It just so happened that they didn't even counter. They just took it. So a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to make that low offer at 35, and you didn't. You had confidence in what you're doing. You made the number. That happens when you hold firm and you have confidence. That confidence comes through. So I think for me, Brian, like I'm just imagining if I was a fly on the wall and you're telling the agent, hey, here's my number. And the agent's like, okay, well, that's his number. He feels good about that number. I can go pitch that number. And again, the stars aligned and you got the deal, but you had confidence in that number and it paid you for it. Like it paid you well. Because if you do this business right, dispo should be the easiest thing in the world. You should have people lining up for your deals. The problem we have is when it's too skinny and you're trying to squeak out $3,000, $5,000. It's not that great a deal. Get a great deal and everything else is easy.
That's correct.
Love that. Awesome. Did the agent see you resell the property?
Nope. Didn't hear a word about it.
Let me share with you a strategy that my friend Jamil Damji uses. I don't do this a whole lot. He does it quite a bit and finds a lot of success. But now that you close that transaction with that agent, go sit down for coffee or lunch and say, look, I'm sure you saw that I resold this property and made a profit. And, this is a business that we're in. I do quite a bit of this. And now that we have a relationship here, you saw that I performed, I'm the real deal. I'd like to keep doing this with you. In fact, I'd like to compensate you and make this more lucrative for you. I'd like to build a long-term relationship with you. If you can keep bringing me deals like this, I'll cut you into the back end because it's worth it to me to have you out there on the front lines finding deals. And you're out there anyway on the front lines because that's what you do as an agent. And so then what he does is he offers them, after, not right up front, but after creating a relationship by nature of doing a deal together, then he sits down with them and he offers them some of his wholesale income to motivate them to keep doing the business with him. Now, again, I think that's a great idea. I don't do that a whole lot. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's a pretty smart idea, and it could result in that agent being much more motivated. Because if you think about it, let's say that they double dipped on that deal, they still made nothing. I mean, they made squat. Let's say they made 6%. They made $2,000. Right. So is that enough for them to get excited to keep doing that? I doubt it. But if you said to them, let's say it's a similar deal, if they're working similar neighborhoods, hey, not only can you get that front end income, the $2,000 on the listing commission, right? But I'll cut you into the back end. I'll give you a percentage of my profit. They might then be really eager, and they might actually go looking for this. And it's not an afterthought where, if I run into it, I'll tell Brian about it. It's more like, how do I go find more of this is the idea there. How do I market for this type of seller? Knowing that I got Brian over here that'll take these down, and I could end up making a whole lot more money. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's a good strategy.
His idea behind that is, I want to make those agents so motivated to work with me. They're not just on the front lines, but they're actually doing marketing. They're going to go work hard to find me leads. That's the idea behind that. Honestly, if you have no cost, no marketing cost, and that agent brings you ongoing deals, that's probably worth giving up a big chunk of your assignment fee. The problem I have with this, I already have agents that bring me deals because they're thrilled for the double dip already. I hate the idea of giving away money that I don't need to give away, but at the same time, certainly more agents would be more motivated if they knew they could make more money. So there is some truth to it. 50% is pretty aggressive. So maybe you can do it at 25% and you're not giving away half your assignment. You're giving away a quarter of it or some kind of compensation. Maybe it's you say, hey, $2,500 every deal I do on top of the commission you're already getting from the seller, or, something like that, like something. And I got a question for you. Door knocking, life insurance, harder or easier than wholesale real estate?
Neither one of them is hard. They're simple, but they're not easy.
Yeah.
If you could just deal with the no's that you get, to me, no means next opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. You're so right. If you think about wholesale real estate from the business side, mechanically, it's pretty simple, right? We're going to get a discounted property and sell that contract for a fee. There's not much to it really, if you break it down really simple. But the easy part, no, not so much, because it does require a lot of consistent effort to get to those deals. And most people just don't have the wherewithal to be consistent. That's the problem I see. People that can stomach through and be consistent and actually find joy in the grind are the ones that tend to come out the other side and have deals. I think there's a lot of mindset to it as well. Like, you approach this from a perspective of, I already know how to talk to strangers. I've overcome that barrier. Talking to strangers isn't something that is overly intimidating. So when you get through that barrier, I feel like when people can overcome the barrier of talking to people and you get past that hurdle where it's okay, it's normal, nothing's going to happen, you're not going to die, all the fears you have go away about it, then you can just show up now, be yourself, be a human being, be nice, be friendly, care about people, uncover motivation, provide solutions, solve problems. And then all of a sudden you're doing deals and you're like, well, it's not overly complicated. I'm just showing up consistently and I'm trying to be a decent human being and help people out of bad situations. And, I got to learn some skills. It's not like you don't have to learn any skills, but it's less about the skill set and more about the mindset is what I tend to find. Do you find that true?
100%. Just like you say, just showing up every day. Eventually you get traction. But somebody is in a situation where they need your help.
I say it like this. If you just show up, the stars are going to align. You're going to be in the right place at the right time. You're going to be talking to the right person. You're going to connect in the right way. They're going to be just happen to be in a desperate place where they want to sell at a discount. Like, the stars align and you get a deal, and it might look like luck. Other people might call it luck. If you want to keep getting lucky, just keep showing up and do the work and you'll keep getting lucky.